guys, welcome back to a page in the chapter, or welcome if you are new here. My name is Paige. Wow, last month of 2022. The amount of emotions that sentence brings up in me is alarming, and no, I'm not ready to talk them through. So for the month of November, I entered it feeling very slumpy, and thus I didn't set myself a TBR. But throughout the month of November, I really found a groove that is currently working for me. I will obviously go more into that in my November wrap up. I really found something that works for me right now. I don't know if this will be the same forever, but it's working for right now, and so I'm gonna go with it. So we'll see how it goes. I think that this will be one of the only TBRs that I'm ever actually able to complete. So if you guys like seeing TBRs and wrap-ups and you are here for me in my romance era, then do please feel free to hit that big red subscribe button down below. Stay tuned for future content. I upload every single Wednesday, and hopefully we will get back up to 2 videos a week soon, but right now the 1 video a week is really fitting nicely into my workload and my timetable. So again, in the same vein as we only reading romance this month, we're just gonna go with what is currently working. And if you guys would like updates on when there is extra content coming out, or changes to my schedule, or just to see what I'm reading and how I'm reviewing it in real time, then do please feel free to check me out on Instagram and Twitter at @PageInChapter, because that's where all of those updates will be. Without further ado, let's get on into the books I want to read in the month of December. So I have 7 books on my TBR for the month of December. I'm excited about all of them, but all of them are also subject to change. I like TBRs, but I also need to feel like I can mood read at the same time. I have always described myself as a mood reader, and I like the structure that TBRs provide, but I can't feel constrained by them. So if I see a book that I'm really in the mood for on Bookstagram, I will go to my Kindle and I will download it on Kindle or Audible, and I will read that if I'm in the mood for that. It's not necessarily the most economic way of doing things, but it's just how I read. The very first book on my TBR for the month of December you will be familiar with. I think for the past 2 years now, I have had Stardust by Neil Gaiman on December TBRs. This is a very short 150 page or so book that is one of my favourite books of all time, my favourite Neil Gaiman that I have read, and it will continue to be a book that I read at Christmas time. It is just so cozy, and this is really the only one that is slightly fantasy in nature. It is still, in my opinion, a romance, but definitely more on the fantasy romance side. So if you are unfamiliar with Stardust by Neil Gaiman, it is the same Stardust as the movie, and it follows our main character Tristan, and in order to win the heart of the girl he is in love with, Victoria, he promises her that he will cross the wall into a magical kingdom to collect her a fallen star, and if he brings her this fallen star, then she will agree to be with him, and crossing the wall takes him on this wonderful cutesy magical adventure. It involves him meeting Yvain, said star, and it is just the sweetest story. I grew up watching the movie. I only a couple years ago discovered it was actually based on a book. The book is definitely more for older audiences, whereas the movie is aimed at younger audiences, but in some ways I like that even more. This is one of those adaptation scenarios where I could not tell you whether the book or the movie is better, because I love them both for very different reasons. Yeah, I adore this book. It is one of my favourites, one of my all-time favourite cozy book recommendations, and the fact that it is under 200 pages makes me think that even though it's fantasy based, I will be able to finish it. So that is the first book, and now that the reread is out of the way, we can get into the rest of the Christmas books. So the first book I would like to share with you is 10 Blind Dates by Ashley Elston. This is a young adult Christmas romance and it follows our main character Sophie, and as it is nearing Christmas time her boyfriend breaks up with her and so her family is on a mission to set her up with 10 blind dates. I'm assuming over the Christmas period. And what tempts me about this book, even though it is young adult and lately I have really been reaching for the adult romances, is that my favourite feature of a young adult romance, or really any young adult novel, is the relationship between the main character and his or her family. And it is a relationship that is so often ignored in young adult. And I think that's because in any adult book you can really get away with ignoring family. But when you're a teenager and you literally live with your parents and any kind of relationship you have is going to be impacted and in some way involve parents and siblings, it feels weird to ignore it, and yet most young adult books do. But when it is included, I feel like it adds such wonderfulness to the genre, and all of my favourite young adult books have been ones where family elements are really big. Like, think all of Morgan Matson's books, and I feel like this one really leans into the family elements, really leans into, yes, having Christmas romances, and Christmas is a very romantic time, but Christmas is also a time to be with family, and I think this book is really going to capture that well, and I'm really excited to get into this one. The next book that I picked up is This Year's For Me and You by Emily Bell. This feels like an adult Christmas version of Since You've Been Gone by Morgan Matson. Funny that I just mentioned her. I didn't realise that I was going to be mentioning her twice in the space of 5 minutes. But this follows two best friends, Hannah and Celeste, and every year they spend New Year's Eve together until unfortunately there is a very tragic accident. And this follows Celeste as she follows a bucket list that Hannah has left, and this bucket list takes her on a journey of self-discovery and a journey towards love, I'm guessing, because the tagline says one chance to fall in love. Yeah, so this book says, through Hannah's last wishes, Celeste begins to rediscover life again, one adventure at a time. Does this not just sound like Since You've Been Gone, but make it festive and adult? Because I'm here for it. Honestly, I really like the general vibe of this book and I'm willing to give it a try. It definitely feels like it's going to be a different atmosphere than some of the other romances on this list, but I'm still very excited to try it, and I think it's fun to have a book that is festive but centered around New Year's Eve rather than just Christmas. That is a nice little take, and I'm here for New Year's Eve books becoming a thing. And then the next book, I pressed the order button on Waterstones just before I started filming this video, so if it had arrived that quickly I would be genuinely alarmed. But this book is A Merry Little Meet Cute. I have seen this one all over Instagram. I know people are aware of it. I'll be honest with you, I don't even know what the blurb is. I do not know the characters' names, the general plot of the book. I just think that the cover art and the title are so incredible that I bought it based on those alone, but I am now going to look up what the plot is of this book that I have just spent my money on. So it is described as a steamy plus-size holiday rom-com about an adult film star who is semi-accidentally cast as a lead in a family-friendly Christmas movie and the former bad boy pop star she falls in love with. That sounds so good. Oh my god, it's like a Christmas fan fiction. I've never wanted to read a book so badly in my entire life. Okay, I wish I hadn't looked that up because now waiting for it to arrive is gonna hurt me a little bit. This is another kind of family-based Christmas story, but I have a feeling it might still have a romance element. I could be very wrong. And that is 7 Days of Us by Francesca Hornack. So this is a family-based one, and this follows our main character Olivia, and she has just returned from treating an epidemic abroad and is forced to quarantine with her family for 7 days. Judging by the vibes of this cover, I'm gonna say it's around the Christmas period when she has to do this, and it is about the highs and lows of being in close proximity with your family, which I'm sure following recent history we can all kind of relate to. It is going to be weird seeing quarantine type of things popping up in literature now, and like especially if this is a romance, a quarantine romance already, too soon. And then the final line of this blurb is, especially when they are all harbouring secrets, one of whom is about to come knocking at their door. Seems like there's going to be a little bit of a mystery element to it, definitely an element of all of these members of the family realising that perhaps they don't know each other that well and really forming a stronger connection by starting to speak about things. And I don't know if there will be an actual on-page romance, but I don't know if one of the secrets that they're harbouring is going to be a romance, and perhaps through thoughts or flashbacks or things, I don't know. Now the more I talk about it, the more I'm like, this is probably not a romance. So this is The Holiday Swap by Maggie Knox, and the lovely Rachel sent this to me. It arrived in the mail today. So this follows identical twin sisters Charlie and Cass, and Charlie owns a baking store or a baking shop or something like that, and while she is getting really stressed out about this upcoming spot on a baking TV show, Cass is trying to hold her life together in this very quaint town, and she kind of feels like everything's falling apart. So with only days until Christmas, these two sisters decide to swap places to reduce some of the stress that they are feeling at the moment. And this is Christmas and baking and family elements, and I am all about it, and I'm really excited. And Rachel said that she read this and she really enjoyed it, so I am really excited to get into this and almost definitely agree with her. And then this final book is actually a romance, and it has also been sent to me by Rachel. So thank you to Rachel for really encouraging this romance reading binge. When I go down a rabbit hole and I don't do any work for the whole month because I'm reading romances, I am personally holding you responsible, even though I am very grateful and could not be happier that I have these books. So this is The Christmas Wish by Lindsay Kelk, and this is a Groundhog Day style story centered around Christmas Day. It reminds me of a Christmas movie that I've watched, which is name I can't remember. So this follows newly single Gwen as she returns home to her small town village for Christmas in the hopes that it helps her get over the fact that her career is hanging by a thread and that she has been newly broken up with, which is a bit rough around the Christmas time. And so this follows Gwen as she is forced to relive Christmas Day over and over again, and she realises that she does in fact have someone there for her, and his name is Dev. But how do you make someone fall in love with you when you keep reliving the same day over and over and over again? So this is definitely festive, it is definitely romance, and it is definitely going to bring me lots of joy. And so here we have the TBR for the month of December. As I said, more might be added. I have been absolutely storming through books lately, so who knows if 7 is going to be enough, but I have my Kindle and I have Audible, so hopefully we can keep the book buying to a minimum. I do hope that you guys have enjoyed this video and you get some good Christmas recommendations from it. Do feel free to leave your Christmas recommendations down in the comment section so that I have a nice little list to pull from if I do decide to do a little bit of a Kindle binge. I can see it happening. Extra bonus points if they are only 99p. And because my battery is flashing at me because I suck at being a YouTuber and charging my camera equipment, I am gonna head off now. If you guys like seeing TBRs and wrap-ups and you have enjoyed this video, then do please feel free to hit that big red subscribe button down below and stay tuned for future content. I do hope that you have enjoyed watching, and I hope you guys are having a fantastic week. You are enjoying everything you are reading. There are no reading slumps in your future, and I will see you next week for my next video. Bye guys.